When we envision ancient battles, our imagination readily conjures images of spears, swords, and shields. But very quickly, animals emerge within this tableau. Some were majestic and fearsome, others swift and indispensable, and still others utterly unexpected. Millennia before the advent of armored vehicles, colossal living tanks, war elephants already marched across battlefields. In Asia and the Middle East, elephants were formidable weapons employed as battering rams to breach enemy fortifications or as mobile fortresses from which archers could rain down arrows. Their sheer presence, immense bulk, and incredible power not only trampled enemy ranks, piercing through any defense, but also instilled unadulterated terror. Imagine a gigantic shadow looming over you, the very ground trembling with the thunderous steps of tens of tons of living might. An elephant could effortlessly demolish a wall, overturn a cart, or trample a detachment of soldiers. The renowned General Hannibal, crossing the Alps with his army, famously employed elephants in his war against Rome. For the Romans, it was an absolute shock. They had never before encountered such a weapon. The elephants not only shattered formations, but also sowed widespread panic. This was a component of psychological warfare, the use of methods designed to suppress the enemy's morale, to instill fear and demoralization. The mere sight of elephants struck such terror that it became an integral part of their psychological arsenal. Their menacing appearance, unfamiliar scent, and booming trumpet calls could sow confusion even among the most seasoned legionaries, compelling them to flee or fight with diminished effectiveness. Of course, elephants had their drawbacks. If startled, for instance, by loud noises, fire, or sharp spears, they could panic and inadvertently trample their own soldiers, transforming into an uncontrollable force. Training such giants was a complex and lengthy process, demanding exceptional skill from their handlers, known as mahouts. While elephants represented an exotic element, horses were arguably the most pivotal animals in the history of warfare prior to the advent of modern machinery. Their significance is almost impossible to overstate. They served a myriad of purposes: for swift reconnaissance, gathering intelligence on enemy movements, delivering crucial messages across vast distances where speed was critical, transporting cargo and artillery, thus ensuring army supply lines, and naturally conveying soldiers. For millennia, horses served as the very engines of armies. But their foremost contribution, of course, was cavalry. Cavalry refers to a branch of the military whose soldiers are mounted on horseback. Horsemen organized into units could launch swift attacks, outflank opponents, meaning to assault them from the side where they were less protected, pursue retreating forces, or execute sudden raids. For thousands of years, cavalry decided the outcome of battles. From the armies of ancient Romans to the Mongol conquerors, whose lightning-fast cavalry subdued half the known world, and European knights in heavy armor who unhorsed foes with their devastating charges. Even at the outset of World War I, despite the emergence of machine guns and artillery, cavalry continued to see use, albeit with diminishing success, as they became excessively vulnerable against firearms. Millions of horses perished during the World Wars, performing transportation and draft tasks, and their contribution to the war effort was colossal. And then, history offers even more unusual examples, such as combat bears, though not in the literal sense. A bear named Wojtek, who served with the Polish army during World War II, was officially enlisted as a soldier. He was found as a small cub in the Middle East and raised by Polish soldiers. He helped carry heavy crates of ammunition and provisions, and with his immense strength and unusual presence, he significantly boosted the morale of the troops. While he wasn't a combat bear in the direct sense, meaning he didn't engage in direct combat, his story illustrates just how whimsical and touching the relationship between humans and animals can be amidst the chaos of war. With the emergence of new weaponry, such as aircraft and tanks, and the escalating scale of 20th century warfare, animals assumed novel, at times astonishing, roles. They adapted to the altered conditions, often displaying incredible courage. Carrier pigeons and scout pigeons became genuine winged heroes. Pigeon posts had been utilized for millennia, but during the World Wars, it became indispensable where radio communication was unreliable, easily intercepted by the enemy, or simply non-existent. They delivered crucial messages across front lines, risking being shot down or wounded. Pigeons possessing the unique ability to return home, even when released hundreds of miles away, saved countless lives. One pigeon, named Sher Ami, during World War I, delivered a message that saved the lives of 194 American soldiers who were trapped and surrounded. He himself was severely wounded, shot in the chest, blinded in one eye, and one of his legs was torn off. Yet, he still managed to reach his destination, carrying invaluable information. His valor became legendary, but that wasn't all. Pigeons were also employed as scouts. Miniature cameras were affixed to them. As the bird flew high above enemy positions, it automatically took photographs at predetermined intervals. True spy pigeons, they gathered invaluable intelligence on the deployment of enemy troops, fortifications, and equipment, information inaccessible to humans. Dogs, too, were loyal companions to humans in war, and their contributions were no less significant. They performed a diverse array of tasks, serving as messengers, carrying communications under perilous conditions, locating the wounded on battlefields, their keen sense of smell detecting individuals even beneath rubble, and delivering medications and ammunition. Sapper dogs, trained to locate mines and other explosive devices, saved thousands of soldiers' lives. A sapper is a military specialist responsible for locating and defusing mines and other explosive ordnance. Dogs, with their acute sense of smell, tens of times more powerful than humans, were indispensable aids to sappers. They could detect explosives buried deep underground, signaling the presence of danger. However, there was also a deeply tragic chapter. During World War II, the Red Army employed so-called anti-tank dogs. They are sometimes inaccurately referred to as kamikaze dogs. Kamikaze is a Japanese word meaning divine wind, used to designate those who sacrifice their lives to accomplish a mission. These dogs were trained to run beneath enemy tanks. During training, bowls of food were placed beneath tanks so that the dogs would associate them with sustenance. Then, explosives were strapped to them. The detonation occurred when the dog came into contact with a special lever as it passed under the tank's belly. The fate of these dogs was undeniably horrific and unenviable, but in this manner, they destroyed hundreds of enemy tanks, sacrificing their lives and making an immense contribution to the defense. Beyond this, dogs served as guard dogs, alerting to approaching enemies, as patrol dogs accompanying soldiers on rounds, as sled dogs, transporting supplies via dog sleds in the harsh conditions of the far north, and even as combat dogs, trained to attack the enemy. With technological advancements and the escalating tensions of the Cold War, confrontation also extended beneath the waves. Here too, the animal kingdom provided its own combatants whose natural abilities proved immensely beneficial for military purposes. Beyond implemented ideas, there were also truly fantastical projects that, fortunately, remained confined to paper or early stages of development. For instance, during World War II, the United States developed a project known as the Bat Bomb. The concept involved attaching tiny incendiary bombs, that is, bombs designed not for explosion but for creating intense fires, to thousands of bats. These bats were then to be released over Japanese cities, which largely consisted of wooden structures. Bats, possessing a strong instinct to seek shelter, were expected to disperse, crawl into hidden recesses within buildings, and then the bombs would detonate, causing widespread conflagrations. Fortunately, This project was never fully realized due to its immense complexity, the unpredictable behavior of the animals, and various technical difficulties. But the very concept illustrates the lengths to which humanity was prepared to go in the pursuit of new unconventional weaponry, stopping at nothing, even the most outlandish schemes.